The fascinating part about this game is you have two of the best defenses in the country. Alabama's number one, allowing only 180 yards per game, 6.9 points per game. LSU's not all that far behind, allowing 251 yards a game and 12.4 points. So on first blush, it looks like a game that's going to be a real defensive struggle here. Alabama's defense is maybe a little more, and not just Alabama's defense. I think you look at Alabama and you see a little more power in their game. Trent Richardson, the potential All-American running back, is the focus of their offense. He's a big guy. He's hard to bring down. That's not to say LSU doesn't have power. They have a big offensive line. They have some good, strong running backs. And when you look at LSU, you see a little more speed in their game. Their defensive backs make a lot of big plays, a little more dynamic on the outside offensively with wide receiver Ruben Randall and the other receiver Russell Shepard. But again, that's not to say Alabama is slow. Both teams are incredibly athletic, very strong, very powerful teams. You can make a very good case that no matter who loses this game, the other team is still the second best team in the country. And that's what makes this game so intriguing. I said, from an X's and O's standpoint, I think you look at it and think it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. The other sort of X factor, I think, for both teams is, unlike a lot of great college teams, you don't necessarily have great quarterbacks on either side. You have both teams are getting really good quarterback play, but you don't necessarily have great players at those positions. The winner of this game will simply have to win out and go to the national championship game. It'll have the inside track again to the SEC West, get to the SEC championship game, play either Georgia or South Carolina most likely, again be a big favorite in that game, and then go on and play for the national championship to become the sixth SEC team in a row to win the national championship. And I think the ramifications for the teams behind LSU and Alabama, Oklahoma State, Stanford, even Boise State to a certain degree, what they have to look at is, does this game not determine who, not just the number one team, but also the number two team? If there's no separation between these two teams, is there a possibility that an Oklahoma State or a Stanford sitting there undefeated is still going to be left behind the Alabama LSU winner? The Alabama LSU loser. It's a possibility. Now, it doesn't usually work that way. Generally speaking, Oklahoma State plays in a pretty good conference in the Big 12, and Stanford's conference, the Pac-12, not quite as good, but there's still some big teams on Stanford's schedule, so you would think, tradition tells us, if those teams win out, the SEC loser will fall behind Stanford or Oklahoma State.